when you stick 3 opinionated blokes in a room and put World of Warcraft in front of them.
A completely unchained view from each of them that clash in spectacular fashion, much like the best raids of all time. Classic.
There's going to be someone who's always right and someone who's always wrong, like Dunkirk is, as we know the latest raids are much better.
So, with that in mind, it's time to take a look at the latest Warcraft news and speculation. But be careful what you wish for, because
You think you do,
but you don't. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is the almighty Farseer. This is You Think You Do, But You Don't. And I am joined by... Now, I've got a few tiles here today to go through. And this is well earned. Okay? So, I am joined by... the one and only proud warrior of the Horde. One with a Tauren ancestry that he holds close to his heart. And predictor of the future releases of patches, Kexman.
Just stroking this lovely beard here. The reason why I'm stroking this lovely beard is because at no point is this beard going to be a disgusting Alliance blue. Because the big news this week, of course, is that 8.3 has been given a release date, which is exciting. It's in a couple of weeks, so I cannot wait to see, exactly how that pans out. But on top of that, they also announced that the newest raid, Nyalotha, is being released on the 21st of January. And for those of you that have been listening and watching to You Think You Do, but you don't for quite a while, way back before BlizzCon, I decided to put a little bet on saying that the 21st of January was going to be the release date of the new raid based on the Christmas schedule, based on when 8.3 and sort of like the time frame of raids usually happens. And I was so confident with...
What did you do?
And I was so confident with that I decided to put a bet on it. And as obviously a proud member of the Horde with the Horde logo tattooed on my skin, I said I would dye my glorious beard Alliance colours, blue and gold. I was that focused on what was going to be, what was going to be happening. And I got it right. I was able to predict exactly when it would come out. So I'm going to make a prediction at some point in this show in regards to when Shadowlands is going to be released. I'm not going to give an exact date because I feel like that would probably be too far ahead of time. But I am definitely going to give some idea of exactly how I feel next year is going to go. For those wondering what that noise was and what happened, I got so excited about the fact that I successfully managed to name the date for for the release. I knocked my microphone over. So my microphone is on a stand, and I somehow managed to completely knock it over. So yeah, that is exactly what that noise was.
That was the most comedic sound I've heard in a while from you, honestly. I hope somebody clipped it. All I hope
it was one of those moments where I hit it, I saw it falling, and I just kind of was like, oh, that's happening, and then it fell over. I didn't even try and stop it. It was one of those moments.
We've all had one of them moments, but goodness me. So, many of you who have listened or watched the show before, you will know that I'm not often a fan of Kexman, albeit the fact that we've known each other for our entire
Everyone's a
lives.
fan of me.
Shut up. Albeit that we've been.
What are you on about?
That we've been.
Everyone. This is I am the reason people watch and listen to this show.
Oh
Damn it.
God, you never change. But
Well, they can't exactly be here for Dunkirk. He's been trapped in a time continuum loop for the past 4 weeks.
I haven't let him go yet. It's more peaceful this way. It's more constructive, if I'm honest. But
Yeah, that's very true. You know when your mother used to say, "Don't hold that face, or the wind will change, and you'll be stuck with it."
that's what Dunkirk did.
Just saying.
No one tells Dunkirk what to do. He did what he did, and well,
his whole body got stuck like that, which is most impressive.
yeah. I don't know how he's still alive, but I mean, stuck in time. He's time frozen. It's like stasis, but time. Think of it that way. But anyway, so I'm not usually one that sides with Kexman with most of the things that he says. However, I have to say, and I did at the start of the show, put my hands up and say, yep, he called it, and he called it way before, and he did an accurate position. He did, and he put his beard on the line to say it as well.
I was that confident.
You were sure about your answer, but as time was ticking on, you were nervous that it was not going to be that date.
But do you know why I was nervous? The reason why I was nervous was simply because the answer I gave was in sort of like relation to the fact that it was going to be a December release.
Mm-hmm.
So my thought is we were going to get it like last week. We were going to have all of Christmas to kind of farm everything up.
Yes.
And then the raid would drop. That was my plan. Last week came and went, and I was like,
oh
no. But then I slipped Laura a $20 note, and here we are. No, I think the one reason, now I've actually thought about it and thought, it would have been a bad idea to give us the Christmas periods to farm up all of our corruption gear and our resistance gear, because it would have reached a point then where we would have just gone into the raid with a vastly superior sort of like item set with a lot of corruption, with a lot of resistance on.
Yeah.
Now I kind of realize what they're doing is, even it's 2 weeks before the release, what we're going to have is we're going to see the corruption gear and the resistance gear that you farm through your legendary cloak kind of almost be some form of a soft nerf to the raid over X number of weeks. The more corruption gear you get versus the amount of corruption resistance through your cloak, the better you're going to be, especially because a lot of the corruption stuff has recently been buffed, as you can see on Wowhead.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that's how that's kind of going to pan out. It is almost going to be a very, very sort of slow, soft nerf, very similar to what they did in various different places, over them just going, right, okay, on this date, boom, you've got a 10% decrease in damage, health, and all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
And that's what, now I'm thinking about it, and the release date, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. Okay. So, right, so we've got that. So that means I'll probably be back a week before the patch comes out. That's when I'll reactivate my subscription, and I will be back. Some people...
What do you mean reactivate? You dropped your subscription, you absolute casual.
There's nothing... For me, personally, there's
your voice then. There's not so much I need to do now.
That's not so much. It's because I'm a warlock, right? It's a felt. Right, so... Or demon hunter. Either or, pick one. So, it's because, for me personally, there's not much for me to do in World of Warcraft right now. I don't have friends. I don't have like people that I regularly play with. Like Kex does what Kexman do, but he kind of like does his raiding.
No, Kexman doesn't do what Kexman does for Kexman. Kexman does what Kexman does because Kexman is Kexman.
Yes. So basically everyone's off doing their own thing. Dunkirk's hardly about as it is, and he's playing his alliance character because he's for some reason always going on about the alliance. And he's
doing it on classic as well.
Yeah, so he's on classic as well. So even when classic wasn't out, he was on his alliance character most of the time in retail when he could be. And now that he's on classic, he's doing his own thing on there as well. Kexman's sort of off doing his own thing. So although we're all good friends, we all got our own nice little community going on here.
Well, we know each other.
Friends is a stretch. It's basically we basically do our own thing, and yeah. I haven't got, because I play so many games. I play World of Warcraft, CFTs, loads of different games. Because of that, unlike back when I was 18 or what have you, Seems so long ago now. That's sad. But way back when Kex, I'd imagine, in the same boat. We both had a lot more time to just go. We did have a boat. We called it Boat Face.
Cool.
When we had a lot more time to play World of Warcraft and dedicate to it, we'd spend like hours and hours every day with our guilds, doing stuff in the game, this, that, and the other. And now, myself and Kexman, we're both working full time. We've got other commitments. There's other games we want to play. Sometimes we want to play Heroes of the Storm or maybe a horror game or something co-op. We just don't have the time. Halo, yeah. We just don't have the time to dedicate like we did. Now, Kexman, for all his busyness, still tries to dedicate to raiding. Respect to him for that. I
try and get involved as much as possible, which is proving more difficult than it used to be.
Yeah,
I imagine there are a lot of people in that same sort of boat.
I can imagine there is, yeah.
It's difficult to get involved with raiding these days, especially when they kind of tie not a lot of it in, but there's so many different ways that you can kind of get away with Mythic Plus and Keystones and everything. It does feel like you do sometimes not necessarily fall behind, but you definitely drop a couple of steps back compared to everyone else if you don't have the time to sink into it, which I'm personally fine with. I feel like that is something that you should do. If you invest the time, you should then obviously be able to get greater rewards.
Yeah, of course. So three things actually. One, Rav, I'm sorry I didn't mention you, but you are obviously included. You're included more than Dunkirk these days, to be fair. Like Rav plays more.
Let's be fair now, yeah, that's true.
Plays more Hearthstone and not Heroes, but Hearthstone and other games of this. But secondly, chat, how you doing today? Hello, hope you're doing well.
Yes, hello to everyone in chat.
Hello to everyone on the podcast listening as well.
Yes, if you're listening on the podcast.
Oh, I do have a message to send out to the podcasters, the podcasters as well.
Have a message. I will,
yes.
This message has been sponsored by the Warcraft Radio Society.
Yes, thank you. So there have been a little bit of let's just say miscommunications in the staff, which is why you may have found that a couple of the episodes that you think you do but you don't have been up for the past couple of weeks. That'll probably be about a week or so ago now by the time you're listening to this, but I do apologize. I have moved forward to rectify that. No, Kexman doesn't. I have moved forward to rectify that, so now we should be getting the episodes out weekly on Spotify or iTunes or wherever you're listening to from. So sorry about the little hiccups, obviously, over BlizzCon and just going into here. We're all good. But, happy days. We should all be good now. And anyway, hey again, live listeners and viewers and such as well. It's good to see you.
Happy holidays. Because
yes, happy Wintervale.
We are now in the winter period, which means that both myself and Farseer are living in a hellscape.
Where we have to work even more.
Which is known as retail.
Yeah.
I'm currently on day 2 of 6 before Christmas. I don't have a day off coming up to Christmas, which...
Do you not have Christmas Eve off?
No, I'm working up till Christmas Eve.
What time are you working Christmas Eve?
Till close.
God.
Till we finish. I'm on all day, every single day now until Christmas. However, I do have Boxing Day off and Christmas Day, so...
I would... You know what? Are you of the mind, now this is Wintervale related and Christmas related, are you of the mind that you would rather work Christmas Eve and have Boxing Day off?
Yes,
I would love that as well.
100% yes.
Unfortunately for me, I'm working Christmas Eve, but I work... I'm not working Christmas Eve, but I work Boxing Day, which is really annoying.
That's gonna be horrible. I think the one thing... can we talk to Lucille? No, yeah, sure. Lucille is mine. You cannot talk to Lucille.
What?
The one what I'm interested in is obviously Wintervale is a very it seems to be a part of Warcraft society. They have very, very similar aspects to Christmas that we have. Do you think there is a similar sort of thing where they have a couple of days off? So on Christmas Day there is no you can't work on that day, or there are certain places that do obviously grunts have to work.
Interesting question.
Speaking of working, Ketra with the 5-month subscription
run. Thank you.
Look at
very
that.
Much appreciated.
Ever since Warcraft Radio came back, I like Rav's answer. No, because time is money, friend.
That's true.
That's very true. Goblins
work through the holidays.
Yeah, the goblins don't believe in the holidays.
No, of course they don't.
They just for them it's more opportunity to make money. But
yes,
I definitely think I think maybe Maybe the undead wouldn't. I don't know.
Possibly.
It definitely feels as though... What is happening to your background? Are you being sucked into the void?
No, it's okay. Ignore the man behind the curtain.
Yeah. It's one of those where I think it almost seems as though Wintervale to me is, in the Warcraft universe, seems to be a human holiday that has kind of been adopted by all of the races.
Yeah, Wintervale does seem to be like an
any...
Azeroth holiday that everyone else is kind of
it seems to be a human holiday that everyone's followed. So I think there are a lot of the Tauren maybe would, and because obviously they have kind of experience. But again, it seems odd. Definitely seems like an odd one, and I don't know whether it seems more like a goblin holiday. I don't know because
they make all the money, don't they, from all the presents and stuff they sell?
Yeah, but. They do make all the money, but the difference is that the idea of Christmas is the idea of giving, which goblins don't do. Goblins don't do giving.
I like it. I think it means something different to all the races. So for goblins, it's a way for them to make money and exploit people, as goblins do.
Natch.
With the Taurens, is a way to kind of appreciate the season and the end of the. I guess they call it years in World of Warcraft as well. Appreciation of changing Earth Mother. I'm pretty sure they can link it in some way. Humans just have it normally. Dwarves, I think, would have the same kind of thing normally as well, with humans celebrate the same. Elves, I don't. Night elves, especially, I don't think would give a crap because they're ancient and they're like, what the hell is this weird tradition that popped up in like the 10,000th year of our existence? So the same would go for Blood Elves, High Elves, and Night Elves.
All elves are a little bit. I think any time that something, with the exception of the festivals that are tied directly to nature, so like the Lunar Festival, or something along those lines, they don't really care because it's almost beneath them. Yeah, they're a bit snooty. They're a bit.
I had a thought. Yes. Imagine the Suramar elves. They kind of come out of that dome after all these years, join the Horde of the Alliance, and like, the shit is all this. What do you say? What?
What do you mean trees? We've got to decorate trees. What? I don't.
And I have to put this box under the tree, and someone else takes it. That's stealing.
Yeah, exactly.
Who
is this man who goes around Azeroth in a day, and how can I steal his powers?
He must be part of the Burning Legion.
Rav thinks they would love it, and I could almost kind of see that as well. Like I didn't shut off and everything, then all of a sudden going, oh my god, I get a hat, and I get they just give everyone mana wine. It's like, I wonder who this could have been from. Just one sort of like Suramar elf just in the background, like.
What was the leader of the elves again? The time controlling one.
Grand Magistrix Elisan.
Yeah, so they have the mana wine, and just like from behind a pillar, it's just Elisan going, just trying to get them addicted or something again.
Thalrissa Rav is the new leader. Up until that point, it was Grand Magistrix Elisander.
Yes, Thalrissa is awesome though.
Because the amount of times I did that goddamn fight in Nighthold just to get the trinket.
I haven't fought her once. I don't think. Wait, hold on.
Grand Magic, you must have done because you've been in a Gul'dan run with us. You must have done.
Oh, if it's the same one with Gul'dan, yeah, I think I've done it.
It's the one just before Gul'dan where she turns back time.
I think I've done it twice ever. Like I've hardly done it at all.
It was a tough fight. It was a tough fight simply because there was a lot kind of going on and reversing time, and you had to be very, very aware of what was happening. Yeah. But it was good fun. Nighthold was a good raid, with the exception of maybe one or two bosses just being a bit of a pain. Yeah. But outside of that, it was enjoyable.
My experience, my main experience with that raid is Dunkirk soloing. Is it Varamanthris or Mal'Ganis? It's Varamanthris, I think, isn't it?
No, it's Mal'Ganis.
Mal'Ganis, okay, yeah. No, my experience with that is Dunkirk soloing him, like singing Power Rangers Zeo.
Yes, Power Rangers Zeo.
And he beat him. He soloed him. I mean,
managed to beat him, which was quite impressive. Very, very impressive.
Bloody Death Knight.
I think the whole point of Wintervale, especially in the whole Azeroth thing, does seem to be very, very similar to what we have. Yeah. And I'm interested to see exactly how they keep panning out these holidays and adding stuff to it. I would like to see them to start you've got a couple of them that have quote unquote raid bosses.
Yeah.
Like Ahoon the Frost, the Ice Lord, or whatever his name is.
Yes.
I'd like to see a Christmas boss in one of the raids. Whether it is just like it, I mean, even something as silly as just a patchwork with a Santa's coat and hat on, something, you know, something along those lines.
We spoke something similar about this to the Hallows End, didn't we? About changing it up and maybe adding something more. I think they could add in a little bit more for the holidays. I think they could add in like, a few more fun
I think
things.
it'd be quite nice having bosses look different during certain holidays, maybe dropping one or two additional special items. Gives a reason to do a bit of farming.
Can you imagine how amazing the world tree would look if the Night Elves embraced Wintervale and they're just dressed up as a Christmas tree?
That would be amazing.
Like the biggest Christmas tree on Azeroth.
Speaking of amazing, TS Gamer subscribing with Twitch Prime. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir or madam,
obviously,
I don't assume to presume.
It would be, as Sylvanus would say, lit.
It would.
I like it. I like it because goddamn that Teldrassil tree had it too good for too long.
She was like, "This is my Christmas tree now. Look at its glory.
I'm going to decorate it. What are you going to decorate it with, my queen?
Fire!" And she did.
That's kind of how she definitely did.
Mm-hmm.
She 100% did. But yeah, obviously, if you are if you are enjoying what you're seeing here, obviously on Warcraft Radio, then, you know, as a couple of people have today, you can follow and subscribe to us. Subscribing not only does it help us bring you new stuff in 2020, which as we have done. I think someone just invisibly choked me.
Okay.
As we have done the past couple of days, we've obviously expanded Warcraft Radio. We've now got Half Casual, we've got Rolling Restart. You know, we've got a lot of new people. Technically, PvP are on board as well.
Oh yeah.
We'd like to, myself, Farseer, and maybe Dunkirk. I don't know. I can't quite tell. His mood's a bit tough to get these days. He's looking a bit out of sorts, if I'm completely honest. But
that invisible choke was from him.
That was him.
From within stasis. Yeah.
That was him trying to escape. Yeah, obviously, from us at You Think You Do But You Don't, we'd like to extend our welcome to those guys.
Yes, very much so. Welcome to the station, and we are very, very happy to have you.
Exactly. And if you do subscribe as well, it also gives access to a very, very special channel on our Discord, which is for subscribers only here on Twitch. And you are able to find out a few little news tidbits, maybe, you know, something that's coming up before everyone else knows. So something that you don't want to miss.
You also get access to things that happen before they happen, sort of similar to that, like the All I Kill for Wintervale song from yours truly.
That song, by the way, is offensive. I'm going out and saying it now. That song is horribly offensive.
Morose just wants people there for Christmas. Everyone forgets about Karazhan and Paul Morose.
Good. It took me a while to realise you were actually doing Morose.
Did not "Oh, I've gone and made a mess" not give you a hint, or was that when it kind of clicked? No, okay.
I completely forgot about it.
No.
Honestly.
See, that's what people do. They forget about Morose and they forget about Karazhan. Poor guy.
For good reason.
He just wants some people there for Wintervale, just to spend time with and kill, and you know, Wintervale is about being with others and spreading cheer and joy and go
knives.
and go and spread some joy.
Knives in Morose's case.
Yeah, but that kind of like that's joy for him. You're going and giving him joy. He hasn't had any for quite a while.
By slaughtering everyone else.
By offering yourself to Morose as sacrifice. Yes, that's pretty much.
The holidays make him a bit morose. Oh God, get out! Get out! Absolutely get out! Oh God!
You legit have to mute the stream when it's on. Ah.
Good. And speaking of getting out, we are now finally getting out of 8.2.
Yes,
which means
slowly.
we are going to be moving on from Eternal Palace.
I was going to say Nyalotha, yeah.
Yeah, no, we're moving into Nyalotha.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's not just a raid. There are a couple of different things they're adding. And I'm personally very, very excited for this new patch. There are some big ideas they've got. There's some content that kind of everyone can get hold of.
Yep.
Which I think maybe potentially is almost a quote unquote beta of what they're doing with Torghast,
Okay.
which is the Endless Tower in Shadowlands.
Okay.
Now, obviously, they have this scenario that you run in the Nihilother 8.3,
Yes.
which is a sort of almost like an old godified version of either Orgrimmar or Stormwind.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it by yourself, or you can do it with a group of people up to 5.
Okay.
Now, during these runs, you obviously are able to, you get certain currencies that you then put towards your legendary cloak, which you can build upon.
Mm-hmm.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that sounds very, very similar to how they described what Torghast would be. Is an endless sort of dungeon runner where you can advance through the various different levels. You are able to gain various different buffs that will help you, that can also potentially hinder you, depending on if it's a good or a bad thing.
Yeah.
And you are able to get rewards from that, which you then put towards a legendary piece, or various other things like anima that we know that we're going to be using in Shadowlands.
Yes.
You can also run it solo, or you can run it with a party of up to 5 people.
Okay.
It sounds very, very similar to the Visions of Madness that we do have during 8.3 from the Innsloth patch. And it does seem to me as though they are using it as a test bed to judge A, player reaction, B, how it manages to coincide with other content that's going on. So one thing you're using is obviously you're increasing your legendary cloak to then use in the raid, where in Shadowlands you're able to get legendary items, or increasing your anima power, which you can then obviously use in raids.
Yes.
And C, it's also the option for them to test this sort of content moving forward. They can turn around and say, okay, is this something that people engaged with? Did they engage with it solo, or did they engage with it as a party? Did they stop at a certain point, or did they carry on at a certain, past a certain point to keep pushing themselves? So this is a very, very good way for them to test this data without diving straight into a beta or alpha for Shadowlands, which we will get into a little bit later on in the show, because I've got a couple of things that I want to talk about that.
Okie dokie.
And I'm definitely interested, definitely invested in the idea of Torghast, in the idea of repeatable content that you can do solo or with a group of people. And I look forward to seeing exactly how what we see happening with these Visions of Madness affects Torghast in Shadowlands potentially, because that's kind of how it feels like it's being set up.
I'm glad that they're kind of like doing this though, because it gives you a bit more assurance that they're not just going, we're trying something new and we've got no idea if it'll work. So don't get me wrong, I love it when they try something brand new and we haven't seen it before, or something similar maybe to another game, because a roguelike concept, like, going up a tower and blah 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 this and that, is not new, but it's like something I enjoy. Like, I enjoy the roguelike stuff. That is really, really welcome to me.
You've always been a fan of that dungeon game. I can't remember what it's called.
Dead Cells, Darkest Dungeon, Dead Cells.
You've always been a very big fan of that sort of style. So
yes.
I imagine the idea of Torghast and an endless dungeon runner that's also a roguelike where you don't know what's coming up.
Yes.
That, I imagine, to you is a very, very attractive piece
of
what Shadowlands can offer.
Oh yeah, big time. Just to double confirm my my excitement for it, really, is that they recently put that into the game Dauntless as well. Basically, it's just Monster Hunter, more or less. They basically put in a roguelike thing where you go up in a maelstrom, you go up several levels, fight different monsters to the top, and then it starts off pretty easy. You get to the top, but then you get a benefit at the end, which you then go and spend in talent points to make yourself stronger, and then you can go back again and do even higher ones, and you keep climbing up and up and up and up. And that's sort of thing I like, is it's got a real big sense of progression to it. It's really fun to do, and I think that's sort of the next, I'd say the next big thing. It is the current big thing. So when we went from battle royales are the next big thing, and then before that we had MOBAs the next big thing. Although this isn't a game genre, it's sort of like a really favored style of gameplay. And yeah. I really, it's always kind of been floating about, but I think it's expanding a bit more. Bigger games are starting to get it. Dauntless, World of Warcraft, you can keep going. but I like it, and I'm really liking the direction where it's going. So I'm excited to do some of the madness runs in World of Warcraft. I'll happily do it with you and Rav if he's playing as well, and Dunkirk, he'll be playing Classic. But I think it'd be a lot more fun with
I guarantee you he'll be back for 8.3.
Okay, then maybe so.
I guarantee that will happen.
We'll do some together. We'll maybe more than likely we'll do them on stream, and
100%.
and if we're not doing them on stream, hey, we can even put them up on the YouTube channel. So either way, there'll be
recorded at some point.
There'll be something out there.
There's some interesting points actually that have been brought up in the chat. First one from Rav saying we found players did not enjoy doing the Visions of Madness, so we scrapped the Torghast Tower. I don't think we'll get to that point. I think they've introduced Torghast and they will just use these Visions of Madness as a test bed.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a scrapping of Torghast. It's going to be a case of, okay, these didn't work. They didn't work for these reasons. This is why.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Just really, really quickly, and then you can continue. Then you can continue. I like this because this is what they should have done with Heart of Azeroth, right? I think they thought, oh, we've done our testing with the artifact weapons. No, you didn't. That's because this is not the same. People think it's the same, but it's not, obviously. So I'm glad they're now going, we're going to test this first and make tweaks to make sure it's better, and if people like it, we'll continue with that. If not, we'll change before it's even out.
Yes.
So because they've already made Torghast now. That tower's already running. They're running tests on it internally, more than likely, because, well, they've got to be. Even if it's in early stages, they're still running it now. So this is the perfect time to go, if they need to make any changes, throw 8.3 out there, see what happens, and then adjust it as it goes.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, continue.
I was going to say, the other one that Gross brought up is an interesting point in... He's wondering how the metas for Torghast and 8.3 Visions of Madness will come about. Certainly, certain classes will be able to dominate solo and duos. Some classes are going to be much more valuable than other ones. He's used Brewmaster, Resto Druid, and some range DPS as being meta. I can definitely see Brewmaster being one because the ability to stay alive while taking on a lot of the, mobs at the same time is definitely a big factor. I do think that there is going to be a quote-unquote meta where it comes to turning around and saying, okay, well, maybe we have these classes that are very, very good. That's fine. But at the end of the day, you can't tune something like Torghast around classes because otherwise... That
happens. It's fine.
Yeah, because otherwise they just end up in a position where they have far too much to kind of, to almost use, if that makes sense. It's like, okay, we have to tune it this way for this class, this way for this class, this way for this class.
Yes.
It's not going to work out well.
Yeah. But they've got to think about that all the time when they do anything, don't they, really?
They've said that it's constantly changing. They said that you potentially could get additions when you got levels and everything. There is one thing that is holding me back from fully committing to Torghast, though.
Okay.
And it's been mentioned in the chat, and that's islands.
Right,
now,
okay.
Islands, for me, were the biggest failure of Battle for Azeroth. I've gone on record quite a few times as saying that I have enjoyed Battle for Azeroth. The leveling experience, the raiding has been fun, the raids have been challenging, the keystones and the various different affixes they've included at keystone level 10 have been enjoyable, difficult and challenging. I am also not opposed to the Warfronts. I feel as though the Warfronts have not been as successful as they could have been. They could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
But as a little distraction every now and then, they're not bad.
Yeah.
Islands, on the other hand, had the most potential for Blizzard, and that is the one that they seem to have really screwed up on, almost.
Oh, no, Islands, yeah. So, the retention... What was it that they said? They were going for less... they were going for more retention and less... I keep forgetting this every single time. Basically, they were trying to make it like more repetitive, just to do it over and over in a grindy sort of sense, but taking the fun away, I suppose. Maybe that wasn't their intention, but that's what they did. So they removed the veil, said, this is a grind, but you'll have fun anyway. And everyone went, yeah, but we're not.
Yeah, but we're really not having
That's
fun.
sort of thing, yeah. So
Yeah, that seems to be the way that they have the islands were introduced. So the one thing I was excited for was islands. You know, they kind of deemed it as an exploration, and it was a fantastic way for us to kind of explore the world. And whilst, yes, it certainly was to some degree, it does feel as though they kind of shot themselves in the foot by making it a timed thing, by making it something that you kind of have to consistently keep grinding and doing the same things over and over again.
Yeah.
And it just lost a lot of people. If they'd have left it where instead of having you can potentially have one where you join in that isn't revolved around time, that is revolved around exploration, that could have been a lot more fun. You've got different options, you've got different ways to approach stuff. Torghast, I believe, gets rid of a lot of the issues with islands because it has various different levels. You gain certain things from those levels, and it seems to be a way to unlock a certain aspect of the game that you can't unlock anywhere else. So legendaries, it seems as though, are not going to be unlockable through raids. This hasn't been confirmed, but from what I have seen so far, legendaries and maybe certain cosmetics are going to be locked exclusively to Torghast, which I'm perfectly fine with.
I'm fine with that as well. That means you have to do that to get that sort of thing. It should always be the case in MMOs like that. Hey, you like the look of Sulfurous Hammer of Ragnaros? Go kill Ragnaros then. If you like the look of this, go do this. If you can't, oh well. Like, there's so many really cool PvP sets and weapons that I really love the look of, but some of them are like rank 14 arena.
But you're never going to get access to them because
exactly.
PvP.
But well, see, I will PvP, but like some of them are like, rank 14 arena. You must be a champion in this, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I'm never going to do that because I know I'm not good enough, and I don't want to put in the time to try and get good enough. So I will accept that I won't get it. That's fine. I can admire it, but I'm not going to go and complain, going, oh, I can't get this because I don't want to put the effort in. That's the same thing where we had this all the way from vanilla. We've had people going, oh, I ain't got the time to do these raids and stuff, and it's really unfair that I can't get the gear and progress like other people can. So it's really interesting to me because I'm pretty sure you remember that back in the day as well, Kex, that people used to say that. They've been saying that for vanilla, Burning Crusade, Wrath, Cabot, every time.
Rav is saying in chat, locking a legendary behind this doesn't seem like a good idea, but that's me. I would disagree with that. I think it seems as though if you get into a position where you're spreading all your gear across every single aspect of your game, so every single bit of gear you can gain from warfronts, islands, raids, dungeons, everything else, it kind of almost cheapens that gear. Whereas if you are working towards crafting a legendary with doing Torghast, it's something that it's like, okay, I'm doing Torghast, but I'm not just getting, anima from it, or I'm not just getting, oh, look, another piece of gear that I've already got in a dungeon. It's like, okay, no, this piece of gear that I'm going for right now, or this aesthetic I'm going for right now for this certain aspect of my character. Yeah. I'm working on it through Torghast. It's something I'm focused on. It's something I'm working on. And if they make it so, yes, potentially it is a grind, there's the chance that you have a position where it's like, okay, I've done my raiding for the day, or I've done my dungeons for the day, I've logged on, I've done my dailies, I got a couple of hours to spare, I'll do some Torghast runs. Run through some Torghast, you get that progression towards the item that you're working for, and it doesn't feel as though you have had to do it. If you have various different ways you can achieve various different things, it gives you a little bit more of an option for something along those.
Do you know what there's one thing that I really have disliked in well, I guess not just World of Warcraft and MMOs, but this is in kind of most things. So one thing I like, and one thing I've always been a fan of, is that someone can be like one really important thing. So what I mean is that you can either have one character that's like you're like one of the best DPS warlocks on the server, for example, and you've got the highest alchemy, you're the most likely to be able to like craft this, and people will buy from you, blah blah blah. I don't like it when, this is obviously just my own personal thing, and people do this anyway, but I don't like it when someone has every single character, has every single profession, and it's like, oh, you are like not reliant on anything to do with the community of anything else. You're like, no, I'll just go log on my level 120 druid with a maximum alchemy and just craft this, and I'll trade it over to my 120 rogue with a maximum leatherworking, mix this together, and then craft it all together myself. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I like it when there are people that can, that are of other, like, different sections. So with that in mind, imagine if in Torghast someone is like me, I guess, or somebody else who would be running Torghast again and again, like an awful lot. That would take away from, say, like someone who's raiding. So someone's got to focus on raiding, maybe mythics or whatever. They haven't really got too much time for Torghast. But imagine if there was something like a legendary crafting reagent from Torghast, and it was a BOE. So the Torghast people who had it would have no use for it unless they're raiding as well to craft this whatever. And they could go, right, I'm this big Torghast champion guy. You're this raid guy. We'll either help each other out. I'll either sell this to you or trade as services. So would that not be a good thing for, like, economically, for people to, like, have a bit more of connection to help each other out? Because if one person can do everything, they don't need to talk to John, who's done Torghast, because he's done Torghast, and he's a mythic raider, and he's also the top PvPer, and he's also the top reagent. You know what I mean? Like, if you've got everything, you don't need to communicate with anyone else, and it kind of isolates it. It kind of breaks that sense of community, right? If more and more people do that.
It would be a good thing. It would mean that you would have to make friends. It would mean that you'd have to contact other people if you wanted this particular item. As Rav says, Torghast shouldn't have any sort of upgrades like a legendary, because if it ends up not fun, and you want that legendary, you can guarantee an outcry from the community.
What I just suggested counters that, though. Not really counter, but is an answer.
So the idea behind Torghast being fun is an entirely separate conversation. There is no real way that me or you can guarantee that Torghast will be fun, unless obviously we have the access ability to the actual dungeon run and see exactly what it is like.
It's entirely subjective as well. So, for example, you like islands, I don't. So,
Yeah. Rav's saying that there's no competition over those resources, though. That's not necessarily true. If the resources are particularly deep into a Torghast run, then it means that people that have the necessary skill to get to that point will be able to achieve it. The competition then becomes not the ability to farm it if it's a rare spawn, it becomes the ability to actually reach that point in a Torghast run, and to turn around and say, I have been able to reach this Torghast run, I have been able to do this, therefore I'm one of the very, very few people that actually has access to this resource. The tying that into a certain type of crafting material, or at least giving it something that is related to something that other players can access, it makes it feel as though Torghast is important. And it makes it feel as though, okay, I've been able to, my reward is not only the ability to access these resources, but I'm also able to use these resources in a way to earn myself money economically, or the way to, change how that works. Now, if this does happen, again, this is all speculation. Then Blizzard needs to be very, very aware of things like this. Simply because if at any point they make it overly easy, where they don't increase the difficulty during a patch,
it'll get boring very fast.
Not only will it get boring, but all of a sudden you crash the market, because the market is flooded with all of these resources.
Yes, very true.
I think they are definitely in a position where they will be able to increase it as time goes on, or even make it so that there are certain levels that are almost impossible to reach at the start. So you have something to work towards. There is a reason for you to go back after 9.1, 9.2, because you can then reach these levels. There's a number of different ways that they can approach it.
I like how Grossbrot says, I actually like farming mana pills. I wish they weren't so time gated, but that's something you can actually, but instead something you can actually work towards that isn't total RNG. Yeah, I agree. So that's what I want in Torghast, right? So obviously there will be some RNG, because that's just the nature of an MMO, but I like the fact that you could put it in a way of sort of, I don't want to say rep grind, but I suppose that's the closest thing you can kind of relate it to. You basically done so much Torghast that you get points or rep or something, so then like the likelihood of you getting big crafting things and stuff is much more increased. And I like, when it comes to the roguelike things, it scales up. So you'll do Torghast so many times until you kind of spec into things and kind of get gear or whatever. Then it's like, now you can do the next scale up. So you've got like 1 to 5 on difficulty, then you go from 5, then you go from 6 to 11, and then 11 to 20, and then you can keep going up and up and up, sort of like mythics.
Yeah.
And so when you're on that really big upper scale and you basically got a team together, so friends, whatever, then you're just smashing through Torghast. If I could do anything in Shadowlands, I'll put it this way personally from my point of view, if I could do anything from Shadowlands, and I found Torghast as fun as I'm expecting it to be, then yeah, I would love for that to be me. I would love if Kexman's raiding. It might be a bit difficult because we're not on the same server, but
you're on a trash server, that's why.
For example, if I was doing Torghast and I could get a crafting reagent, even if it's an epic one, that'd be really good for him to be able to craft a shield with, or he knows a blacksmith, or he is a blacksmith himself. I'd love for him to be able to come to me and go, "Hey Farseer, you're a high level Torghast runner. Is like, do you have X?" And I'll be like, "Yes, I do have X." And I was like, "Hey, you're either a raider or you do these things. Do you have Z?" And Kex is like, "Yes, I do have Z. Let's do a trade." It's all good. Or, maybe he could ask on behalf of one of his other guildies or something. It basically makes them bridges. It basically keeps the community talking. Because right now, does anyone? I mean, because crafting right now is
within guilds, yes, but outside of that, not really.
Yeah.
Outside of recruitments, there's not really a whole lot. Unless you go into the absolute disgusting world that is trade chat. Not really.
I mean,
there's a couple of things brought up. Rav saying if the item is OP, it will be farmed because people will need it to raid, and if it's not, it's irrelevant for people to get. That's fine. You can do that, but realistically, that's almost any MMO. That's almost any game where you have the ability to do that. That is what people will do.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you cannot judge some content from some aspect of the game simply because people raid with it. You also have to think, there don't raid. And whilst, yes, it is one of the main end goals of this game, if not realistically the end goal of this game, doesn't necessarily mean it is the be-all and end-all of World of Warcraft.
No.
However, your idea of Torghast being an area where you have no gear when you enter, and as you go through the levels, as you defeat certain enemies, you find gear, you equip it.
Ooh, yeah.
It almost becomes like a proper dungeon runner.
Yeah, no, I like that, actually.
If
That's really
they
cool.
included that, I'd be very, very happy, because it would definitely give you something new to experience.
Would you not want to just sit down with Ian on this show and go, how does this sound to you? Would you, I would kill to be able to just spitball with Hazakosis about these sort of ideas and things. Obviously, this is already developed, it's already on the plate because they think about this ages before. But I would love to be able to, bounce these ideas and be like, what do you think of this? How do you think of this?
You heard it here first. We are putting the call out. Mr. Ian Hazakosis.
You think you do, but you don't want you.
You think you do, but you don't want to listen to our ideas. Obviously, if, we are making the call here, we would love to sit down, Mr. Ian Hazakosis, and give you some thoughts from mine, Farseer, and Time-Locked Dunkirk's heads. And see exactly what you thought. The idea behind that is a good idea. And then some of those upgrades you unlock find X resource to craft that gear. Yep, that would be cool. I'd really enjoy that. I think it would be great. We also have a little bit of news from Wowhead. Literally just popped up on my newsfeed here.
Breaking news.
It seems as though we have. Well, it's not quite breaking. But
okay.
I mean. Seems as though there has been a slight change to the Mythic Plus cache. Obviously, this has
for
been something
8.3.
Okay. The Mythic Plus weekly cache has been something that has been under a lot of scrutiny. It's been something that everyone has been talking about in regards to whether or not it is necessarily a good thing, whether or not it is a fair thing.
Yes.
The amount of times I have gotten absolute trash from that thing is painful. However, it seems as though in 8.3, your weekly Mythic cache is guaranteed to drop a corrupted piece of gear, with the exception of trinkets.
Okay.
I quite like this idea because it means that you access to some corrupted gear, you can test it out, you can see exactly how well it is, and because they have recently massively buffed these corruption pieces, in some cases of them they've doubled the amount of stats that you have. It's 100% worth it. I mean, for example, the example they give on this image here, it's a mythic 15, so they must have done a keystone 15, and it's an item level 475 piece. It's a leather belt.
Leather belt.
Yeah. 4 stone, 5 strength. No. So obviously it has haste versatility, and it has 20 corruption on it. However, they have recently buffed these. So the equip on this one, so whilst yes, you gain 20 corruption, however, if you are a tanking druid, you would be very, very excited by this potentially. Because your avoidance is increased by an amount equal to 10% of your haste. Now, that is, that could be very, very nice for a tanking druid.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure on the stat lines for tanking druids at this point in time, but it's something that could be very, very powerful. And the fact that this gear is guaranteed for a weekly cache, if they keep it this way, I would be quite happy with, because not only do you get the piece of gear that you want potentially, but you could also get really lucky and roll it with a fantastic affix from the corruption system.
Yeah.
So it gives you a little bit more incentives. It gives you a little bit access to these corrupted pieces. It is completely RNG though, but that's the same with any sort of encounter.
Yeah, of course. Okay, that is definitely interesting. Definitely approving of them changes. So they obviously want to try and get everything as always keep everything as smooth as possible. Try and make improvements where they can. I think, as you said earlier about them using test benches, I think now they're basically using 8.3 to springboard us into Shadowlands. I think is yeah. I mean, obviously they do with the final patch of every expansion, right? But in this one particularly, I think they're trying to just push that final ones out to get us away from the heart of Azeroth, get us away from all that crap. So far as we are aware, there are no mission tables. Please let there be no mission tables. Like, please. Maybe with the covenants. Maybe with the covenants, possibly. We'll see. I would rather just go in there and get a quest from them every day. I'd rather just pick up a daily quest or something than just have a mission table. I don't care about a mission table, alright? It's been in for 3 expansions now. Yep. Be done with it.
Be done with it.
Please be done with it.
I think we will see some aspect of it. I don't know what that is going to be. I think it is going to be a slightly different variation, because we obviously have all of the different covenants that we can unlock. And I feel as though there's going to be almost like a rotation of daily quests available to certain covenants. Whether or not we will get a follower system or anything like that, I don't know. I would hope that we don't.
Okay.
I don't think we will.
Okay, all right.
Not to say that we won't see a version of it.
No, of course.
But it's definitely, mission tables is, as Grossprot says, it's definitely a way for people to log on, because they go, I've got to do this mission, it's time for me to log on. I don't know many people that do that, but it does give at least some semblance of a reason to log.
Sure, yeah.
I would hope that they do not tie anything to it.
No.
I've gone on record as saying that I've never really minded the mission tables. I've never really minded anything like that.
I think the argument we brought up was, would it be a massive loss or a massive game changer if it was gone, though? Which I don't believe it would be.
It wouldn't really change your whole... Really change anything realistic.
No.
So yeah, I would be excited to see it gone.
Yeah, no, I would.
I would also be excited to see potentially do with it if they do decide to change it.
Indeed.
Stays the same, that's poor. Sorry, but that's poor.
Yeah, of course,
if it does change, then I'd be quite happy with that.
It's got less and less involved throughout its inception. Obviously, it was for the garrisons, and then it's for the in Legion for your followers.
Garrisons and Legion, I thought it worked well. I quite liked it.
I sort of did, but now it just feels like it's overstaying its welcome. It just feels...
It does kind of feel like it's there as a case of, well, we had it.
Yeah, like, send Thalisroth to do a mission. okay.
Why?
yeah, why? Like,
Why?
yeah, it feels pointless. But anyway, so we're going to take a short break, and then when we are back, we're going to have a little bit, we're already on it now, but we're going to have a little bit of a look back at 2019, as I do believe we will have one more other show before the end of the year, so this is the second to the last show, as far as I'm aware. But this is the last show before Wintervale, so we're going to be talking about some stuff throughout 2019, what we've experienced, our high times, our lows, we cried, we laughed, and Kexman...
Mostly laughed.
Kexman slaughtered everyone with an alliance badge. Yeah.
Kexman dominated. Yeah, we'll go.
Speaking of that, for most of you who are already subscribed, you will probably get another little ad thing of our cooking, our little cooking extravaganza going on, because I'll happily watch that all day. I'm very proud of that one. More will be made in the future. And for everyone else, we are going to run a quick ad. But we will be back again very soon. Don't go anywhere.
Farseer, what in Sorfang's name are you eating?
Bread?
The hell are you eating bread for? Did you not cook anything?
But I did cook this.
What? Ugh. You have the kitchens of Dalaran at your disposal and you make bread?
Well, I tried to cook other things.
Let's teach Farseer to cook together, shall we? Oh! You've got to have salmon if you're making this dish. Come to High Mountain, got some salmon, time to get some snails. Yep. You can get snails anywhere in Dalaran, but I prefer to get it the old-fashioned way. Oh, why are the snails so... No, stop. No.
Where did Kex go? Don't go!
You've got your salmon, you've got your snails, all you need now are some jalapeno peppers and some royal olives. Leave it to stew for a little while, and you have the perfect Drogbar-style salmon.
I think I might stick with my bread, because that doesn't look good at all.
But if you spend more than 10 seconds eating it, you buff yourself with pepper breath, giving you the chance to unleash a mouthful of fire damage on all your enemies.
What kind of food are you trying to get me to make? In fact, I was just sat here happily eating my bread, and then you came along, and then you just started giving me all this shtick about just making bread, and then you go on about salmon and fish and snails, and I just want to just eat. Hello there, we are back in front of your screens and in front of your eyes. I've
just noticed that advert says good loots at the end of it. What does it mean by good loots?
Okay, so I don't know, right? I'm just given that by Pride, and Pride's like, hey, he's like, hey, play this. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm just like, I've got no idea.
Yeah, Pride, explain.
Yeah.
Pride, explain yourself. We require explanation.
He just like, so what I did is I went down to town. I said, hey, Mayor, I need a good loot ad to play on my Warcraft Radio site. I need some better internet. And so far he hasn't got his better internet, but he got the good loot ad. Okay.
That is still my favourite impression. The Pride impression is amazing.
I save it for specific times just to keep it nice and fresh, that's all.
Rinian, you have not missed a whole We've obviously been discussing Wintervale. We discussed whether or not in Azeroth people take time off over Wintervale, kind of like people do here, whether or not it was a goblin holiday or a human holiday that everyone else had adopted. We've also taken a quick look at 8.3 with its release date, and if I remember rightly, there was someone who predicted the raid release date.
Was it Prize Mayor?
It was me.
Oh.
It was me.
It was me.
I was
what are you,
obviously
Mojo
able... yes, we still have the clip of my date, Rinian, and it was me who guessed it right. Raid release date, 21st of January. Thank you.
Oh no, I'm gonna live that down. It's okay though. No. It's okay. Do you know why it's okay? Because he's gonna get so much confidence that he's gonna be right about dates in the future that he's gonna start risking more and more to get the right dates, and he's gonna slip up. And his arrogance, your arrogance, will be your downfall. That's what will happen.
I will say, and it's been confirmed, Rinian. It's the actual release date has been confirmed as the 21st of January for Raid.
Yeah.
So I got it right.
I
got it right.
And we're never gonna hear the end of it.
No, you're not. And my beard is going to stay glorious and not blue and gold. So I'm very, very happy about that one. My eyebrows are on the line for the release of 9. I don't think so. I really don't think so.
Oh boy.
I've shaved my eyebrows before and it's not a good look, I can tell you that.
Get an
Shave
alliance.
anyone's eyebrows off and they look weird.
Get an alliance tattoo if you get the 8.9 release date wrong, like over your horde one.
No, no. What are you? No.
How confident are you, Kexman?
Kexman goes bold for the release guess of 9.8. That's a long way away, Rav. 9.8.
Also, he's been bold before. It's not a big deal to him, to be honest.
Before. It's not a big deal. I'll get bold again.
Actually, why don't you just do one where you just gotta do the Nappa look? So you shave that off and then just have just that bit and just look like Nappa for a while.
Oh, have the tash?
Yeah, just look like Nappa for a while.
No, that's not gonna work.
No.
That is definitely not happening. I'll tell you that for a fact.
Okay.
I will probably make more predictions in the future. We'll see. I've kind of put my foot forward and said that I can expect the alpha for Shadowlands to be available.
Clip it. Get ready to clip it.
Early February. If I was to put a date on it, I would not. But no, I would imagine the first 2 weeks of February, we will see the alpha launch of Shadowlands, or the alpha being available. So someone potentially, if you want to pop that date down, you're more than welcome. But I can imagine the first 2 weeks of February for the alpha release of Shadowlands. I'm not going to put anything on the line this time.
No.
That's just how I personally feel how this whole beta situation is going to span out. I had an idea that Shadowlands was going to be released during the first 2 weeks of October, and we would see BlizzCon be devoted to 9.1 and 9.2.
Yeah.
And the opening of the raids would happen the week after BlizzCon. My personal view, that's how I think it's going to go. It probably won't go that way. However, if it does, and I have said that it will be released in the beta in the first 2 weeks of February, Shadowlands first 2 weeks of October, with what are you smiling for?
I love it because I love when you make predictions because if this is ever clipped, it'll just be and you're proved wrong. It's just me here, just smiling and looking at you.
However, if I'm proved right, it'll be even better. That's all I'm going to say. I don't think it will be that, but that to me would be a good release schedule.
Shadowlands will hit before October.
No, so first 2 weeks of October for Shadowlands.
No, I was just reading what Rav put. Is what I say.
Oh, you think Shadowlands will hit before October? I disagree. I think first 2 weeks of October, that gives us 9 months or 8 months, of beta, which is much more than the 6 months we got for BFA.
It's hilarious when you cut out, by the way. It is hilarious.
I don't know why it's doing it. I have
9 times out of 10, I don't even mention it anymore because everybody knows it by now. Just so whenever you
searched every single setting I know, and there is nothing that is
it
wrong.
It only happens when we stream. It's so bizarre.
It's odd. So there's a lot of ideas, that I have for that. But I think it gives us realistically 8 months of alpha/beta, which is plenty of time to kind of look at everything, make sure everything's working properly, scale things the right way. We will see, it gives us enough time before BlizzCon to play the game, to level up. BlizzCon gives us a look at the future, and then the raid opening after BlizzCon, which then means that the world first race will go straight into it. If we do have that.
If you had that weird Mike stutter in person, he just suddenly just talks and he goes, and just so went. And then we went down to the train station. That would be really bizarre.
I could honestly, if the world first races are going as well as they are, I could imagine Blizzard potentially announcing some form of almost like not a sponsorship, but maybe themselves getting involved with the world first race, maybe putting up some form of trophy or some form of reward for the winning guild. A lot of people don't like this idea, and I've spoken about this before to people both at BlizzCon, outside of BlizzCon, in regards to having some form of reward or Blizzard in some way, shape or form being involved in the world first race. And a lot of people don't like it because they seem to feel as though the company interacting and becoming invested in the world first race is a bad thing. I would prefer it if Blizzard themselves necessarily, if they didn't host anything, but if they turn around and they said, we have this trophy available, or, you win this trophy and you win, I don't know, $2,000 for each raider that is, that is involved.
Yeah.
And each roster is X amount of people. And, realistically, most of these mythic raid teams don't have 25 people on their roster.
Oh, Rav's like, nope. nope.
He's saying no, but he can do. But if they were to introduce that, it would definitely, it would amp it up a little bit, and it would give a little bit more excitement. At the moment, it is just bragging rights, and there are obviously sponsorships involved. And realistically, if you do well, then you're going to get more sponsorships leading up to an event.
Continue.
But for them to have, something like this, I would, it would be a perfect time for them to announce it, especially if they are a week before the fantastic. This is exactly what I've always wanted. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to But You Don't, hosted by myself, the Kexman. Finally, we have a solo show going on. So this week we are going to be talking about warriors and why warriors are the best class in Warcraft. Now, obviously, warriors are the best class in Warcraft because they have, some fantastic abilities like heroic leap. They have some fantastic abilities.
They're not, though.
Like, shut up. So anyway, going back to my...
We're supposed to be looking back at 2019, Gex.
Apparently I was cutting out again, and I don't know why.
I love that I left. It just got terrible.
I don't know why it's happening.
So for those who are listening on the podcast and just the audio, I just left for just a moment just to get a drink and I'll let Kexman rant off. And apparently there's quite a few cut-offs. Don't worry, it's not you. It's always Kexman. Don't adjust your earphones or your sets. It's just Kexman.
It is legitimately just me and I don't know why.
It's a mystery.
Rav saying that's how you cause hostile things happening between guilds. That kind of already happens. That does happen at the moment. It would mean the EU is always behind, despite EU winning most of the time. They'd have to make it an even playing field. That's almost going to be impossible for them.
Because EU are just too good.
EU, not only are EU too good, but realistically, no matter where you release it, there's always going to be someone suffering from both an American and an EU point of view. I was wondering what was happening there, Rinian. Because all I got that message was, gee, that 8.3 Rye Rogues are number one class. Yes? I don't know how. That's a very, very unusual one. But yeah, I would like to see there be some sort of reward. Is the bottom line.
Right.
I'd like to see them be some sort of investment.
Right. Shut up. Right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to just go back into 2019, maybe a little further back, and we have a bit of a reminisce because we're coming to the end of the year. We're coming to the end of BFA.
I love a good reminisce.
Yeah, we're coming to the end of the year. I say we're coming to the end of BFA. We're going for a couple of more months, maybe half a year. But I say this is like we're at the end of the expansion now, right? We're reaching the end, so we can get reminiscing. Overall, I want to know in chat and from Kexman, overall so far with if you want to take 8.3 and how it looks into account, have you enjoyed Battle for Azeroth? I want to know that
That is a tough question.
It is a heavy loaded question, but have you?
I am going to say that I have enjoyed Battle for Azeroth. However, I feel as though it has definitely taken a couple of steps back from what Legion was. BFA is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I don't believe Blizzard have...
What is it better? What expansion is it better than?
Honestly, I don't think it has been better than any expansion. I truly believe that BFA is the worst expansion that they have put out.
Okay.
However, it's also had some fantastic features in. I was a fan of the fact that we had differing storylines between the Alliance and the Horde.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the fact that there was the war campaign, and I also enjoyed the fact that, you know, we both the Alliance and the Horde followed the same storyline from a completely different perspective.
Yeah.
That I was a fan of. I understand that some people weren't fans of that. They didn't enjoy it. They couldn't follow it properly. But for me, it kind of felt like I was part of a faction that was on an opposite side of the war. Some people didn't like it. That's fine. But I think it is. I think it is their worst expansion. But it's their worst expansion because they have failed to deliver on a lot of what they said they were. Not necessarily said that they were going to do, but on the prospect of what it could have been.
Okay.
I feel like
it had a lot of potential and they didn't reach it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
How about yourself? Have you enjoyed BFA this year?
So I'll swing it to me, but I do want to go through chat first, and then we'll come back to me. So Rav is just a straight up no. He did not enjoy BFA. That is fine. Salty Murloc said yes when looking back at it as a whole, but they didn't enjoy launch. Yeah, launch was really bad. Like in terms of launch, you know, because
felt rough.
That was the time of beta. Everyone going the heart of Azeroth shit, and Blizzard was like, we can't change it now. Release, and then everyone was like, still pants. So that's sort of when it came out. Growsprot says since 8.2 I've enjoyed it a lot more. It did improve with 8.2. It really, I don't like it when a patch has to try and hold an expansion up there, right?
Yeah, then, it does kind of. It feels a bit. It feels almost like they're kind of going, "Yep, we know we screwed."
Yeah, it's like them things. It's sort of a very small version of No Man's Sky in a way. It's like it'll get better, just hold on, you know. And you don't want that with World of Warcraft. You want the expansion great from the start.
Yeah, it's no point turning around and try and bring players halfway through.
No.
You need to engage them from the start.
If it dips a bit in the middle, I sort of don't mind that as much. So if it starts strong, dips a bit in the middle, then gets stronger again near the end, that's sort of more acceptable. But you don't want it starting from the lowest and then, because you've got to convince people, you've got to sell it to people. And if you can't sell it in the first place, why would they even come along? That's the sort of thing.
It's difficult, yeah.
But you heard it here first. Kexman says, "What is better than BFA?" Okay, so people in here saying what is worse than BFA. For you, what did WoD do, and why is WoD better than BFA? Like, what did it do which makes you say WoD is better than Battle for Azeroth?
So, for me, WoD... The one thing that WoD, and this is...
What? Hold on. You just cut out for that entire, 3 seconds there. Go again.
Oh, no, I didn't say anything. I was just stretching my mouth.
You're just stretching your mouth. Yeah, okay.
No. So, I was the one thing that separates WoD from BFA is, yes, Warlords was an expansion that they did kind of abandon. I have always been and this is a completely personal reason, I have always been a fan of alternate timeline stories. They've always interested me because I feel as though there's a lot you can do, which is why the idea of a expansion or a large style patch based around the world the Magheart Orcs came from with the light interests me to a massive degree. I also believe that there was less of an investment on a new idea when it came to something like Azeroth. So the Azeroth system, whilst yes, it's not perfect, but also has, a couple of interesting points that they could potentially cling to and use in the future. I feel as though WoD never had that. WoD was very, very simple when it came to its gearing. And that to me is what puts it above BFA, in that it didn't quite have as much of an issue with any of the gearing, didn't quite have much of an issue when it came to if there's a grind associated with this.
I hear that you say the raids in WoD are okay.
The raiding in WoD was great fun. There were some fantastic encounters in Warlords of Draenor, especially in the first two raids. In the first two raids, some of the encounters were brilliant.
They messed it up story-wise, though, from what I hear. So mechanically it was sound for the raids, but story-wise it was... They built up all the warlords, and then they suddenly threw away Kargath in the first raid.
Yeah,
Nerazul popped up in a 5-man and was killed. Nerazul the Lich King. He was gone.
So WoD is a great example of a fantastic idea poorly executed.
Yeah.
I feel as though each leader should have had, at the very least, a raid fight.
Yeah.
I feel
even if there was 2 in 1 raid fight.
Yeah, exactly. I was a massive fan of the storyline of WoD. I enjoyed the storyline. The fact it included one of my favourite cinematics in-game that they have done.
Garrosh vs. Thrall?
No.
Oh.
As much as I do enjoy that, it's the ending scene to Frostfire Ridge.
Ah, that one, yes. Yes.
Where you see, where that one to me was... I really, really enjoyed that whole storyline. I thought it was absolutely fantastic.
Oh, Terran Gregory's back must be really hurting from carrying these expansions with amazing amazing cutscenes and cinematics.
So yeah, that is exactly my answer for that one.
So Ridden Manwy says, it had so many opportunities. I don't feel the story was handled too well, as some of the characters didn't feel right. The content was barren for a while, is what it felt like. Rab says the issue with raiding is that you mostly enjoy the time with the other raiders. That's also true.
Yes, but the raiding is... So you enjoy the time you spend with other... But if the raid itself is boring...
Yeah, it's not going to be good, yeah.
Then it
What's an example of a boring raid? There you go, there's a question to you.
Example of a boring raid, I would say, is... Hang on, let me think. I can't think of any in WoD. I mean... All of the raids get boring in the end.
In any expansion, was there a raid they brought out which you considered that was pretty pants?
Which was pretty pants. I wouldn't say there's one that I would go, oh god. I would say
Trial of Crusader?
I didn't mind Trial of the Crusader that much.
I didn't, but a lot of people did.
I know a lot of people did. I didn't mind it that much. One that I was never fond of is Heart of Fear in Mists of Pandaria.
Okay. Violet Sanctum?
Violet Sanctum is not a raid.
No, that's the 5-man, isn't it? Isn't that like the Dalaran prison? Like,
yeah. So I would say Heart of Fear in Mists of Pandaria, but that's a personal preference.
Okay.
Some of the fights in there were all right, but I just did not like it. It was dull to me.
Okay.
The whole Mantid thing was a no for me.
Okay.
It's a no from me, dog.
That's a no from me, dog. Okay, cool. So let's roll it back a bit. So it's a mixed bag of people saying they did like and didn't like BFA. So as you did, you asked me what I found in BFA. Right.
I think he meant Ruby Sanctum.
Oh,
which
Ruby
was
Sanctum.
The one
Yeah.
dragon boss. I wouldn't class that as a raid.
You can't though, but if you did, I would then agree. Yeah, it's boring. I would say so.
I mean, technically it is a raid, but I wouldn't.
It's like Gruul.
Right?
Actually, it's not even Gruul. Gruul had more content than that raid.
Gruul had 2 bosses. It's very difficult to claim a raid is boring
Magtheridon.
when it's one room with one boss.
Magtheridon raid was quite fun though. I enjoyed Magtheridon.
I'm not going to include anything pre-Wrath of the Lich King because all of those fights were so simple.
Okay, that's fine.
With the exception of maybe Illidan and obviously Sunwell Plateau, but again, that was tuned to a ridiculous level on purpose.
Okay, so if you swing it back around then, I would say for Battle for Azeroth, I've wanted to enjoy it. Now, overall, so far as an expansion, I think that 8.3 looks great. 8.2 really did help. However, even if the latter half of this expansion is going to be really good, that doesn't excuse the whole thing. So as a whole, I would say no. I have not enjoyed Battle for Azeroth, which is sad to say because I always want to enjoy a World of Warcraft expansion. Me and you were fully invested. If it goes on till we're like 60 years old, we'll still probably be playing it. Because we're just...
I don't know about that.
Yeah, well, I probably would be, because we're just so invested, right? It's really hard to kind of step away from for some people, myself especially. Mostly for me, it's a story. I love following World of Warcraft for the story. I wasn't there for Warlords of Draenor at all. I didn't like the look of it. So we had Mr. Pandaria, which I really enjoyed.
Which honestly surprises me.
Well, it's one of them things. I think it was really odd. So I stopped playing in Mr. Pandaria when we first started raiding Motion Gun Vaults. And then because that's when the last episode, funny enough, that's when the last episode of Essence of RP aired, like the official one. So that's found on my YouTube channel as well. So that'll be, and the last episode I didn't plan on stopping or anything. I was like, yep, business as usual, see you next week. And then I didn't. I stopped playing WoW. I stopped doing Essence. Everything just
because I wasn't there.
Yeah. Everything just stopped. I don't know what it was. So, and then I didn't go back to WoW for a little while. I did go back a few times during Pandaria. I went back for a little time during Throne of Thunder. I never did Throne of Thunder, but I did some of the things outside of it.
Throne of Thunder is one of the greatest raids they ever made.
Yeah, and then I think went back for a little bit of Siege of Orgrimmar, possibly, and then that was it.
Siege was good.
And then that was it. I kind of like jumped in now and then, but I was never like fully there for Pandaria. And so as I was kind of like hanging in a little bit now and then for Pandaria, when WoD came out, I was like, I just didn't want to. I was like, looks great, but whatever. So I still followed the story, even though I wasn't playing the game. I was watching the cinematics outside of game. I was seeing what was going on. I was like, that's all cool. I like it, but I'm glad I'm not paying a subscription for it. And then when I heard about them abandoning it midway, I was justified in going, I'm really glad I didn't pay a subscription for it.
Oh, Rav makes a good point. 50% of Siege consists of you waiting for RP now.
Yeah, it's true.
It is so true. So true.
But so when Legion came out and Blizzard put everything into Legion, and you could see they did, it was beautiful. I loved it. I got engaged into the whole thing. Broken Shore at the start was something brand new they hadn't done before. That was fantastic. All these important characters died. The Burning Legion returned in the biggest way possible since the Third War. It was just fantastic. Everything about it I loved. Illidan was back, and Illidan is my favorite character. So
of course.
There was everything about it was all thumbs up from Legion. So then they set the bar really high for Legion, and now comes Battle for Azeroth, and they have a really big bar to hit, and they missed. Like they missed really hard.
Battle for Azeroth to me is... So, I think Battle for Azeroth and WoD kind of start off at the same sort of level. So they both start off at about here. Because this is the idea of both of them. It's like, we're going back in time, we're dealing with the warlords of each clan. We know for a fact that we're going back to Draenor as it was There's a lot of stuff for us to invest in. There's a lot of stuff for us to really take a good hard look at.
Yep.
And then BFA, we've got a proper war that is potentially brewing. We've got the attack on Lordaeron, the attack on Teldrassil. There's, we're introducing the Zandalari and the Cult Tyrants, people that we've wanted to see for years and years and years. And then from there, it just drops.
Yeah.
The reason why BFA drops further than WoD for me
is because it came off the back of a great expansion.
Not only that, because I like to think of each expansion under its own merits.
Okay, yeah.
It's more the fact that you have something like the Heart of Azeroth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't mind the fact that they tried something new. They tried it in Legion, and they wanted to advance upon that.
And
it's fine.
Worked for the most part.
Tied to weapons. And in Legion, it worked for the most part, apart from right at the start when the grind was absolutely ridiculous.
Wasn't it at the end when people were annoyed with the grind?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was the start. At the end, you got Azeroth. You got artifact power out the wazoo.
Okay, fair enough.
At the start, it was to unlock some of your golden talents. At the start, it was painful.
Yeah.
Similar sort of thing with Azerite power, with the exception of the fact having to unlock new tiers and having to do, and it just felt much worse.
Yeah.
And WoD never had any of that.
Yeah.
Yes, WoD ended early. Yes, WoD had a lot of promise that it didn't deliver on. But realistically, when you take a look at it, the actual gameplay and the actual, the raiding, the dungeons were fun. There was a lot of stuff going on that I thoroughly enjoyed. And again, could just be me from a personal level because I'm a massive whore when it comes to alternate timelines.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's why WoD is above BFA for me, in the fact that we didn't have to deal with anything like Azerite power.
I see Conglator says, it was weird how they seemed that we just abandoned the main themes from the beginning from BFA. Yeah, we did. So it's like, I assume you mean like the Horde vs Alliance War. We had the best cinematic that we've ever had from Blizzard, which was the intro cinematic at the Battle for Lordaeron. Still amazing.
I don't think that's the best cinematic they've ever done.
Heresy. What are you talking about?
No, I love that cinematic, and it is, I would say, it is my favorite cinematic because of the fact you get Sylvanas screaming for the Horde. You've got, I've got the Horde tattoo. However, the best cinematic they've ever done was the cinematic for Wrath. Because A, it looked beautiful, B, the music was fantastic, and C, the way they worked in the dialogue from Tyrannus Menethil was genius. That, to me, is the best cinematic they've ever done. But like you said, the moment you have this cinematic that portrays this fantastic war on Lordaeron, this really, really powerful imagery of the Horde and the Alliance armies facing off against each other, and then the idea of when you start this game, that is where you start.
Yes.
Like, that is the jumping off point for your character. And then suddenly you almost fall a little bit flat because you are immediately separated. Now, I've said I enjoy that because it means that we could see the story from two different perspectives. You were able to go, right, okay, this is the Horde story. However, I can completely understand why people would kind of turn around and go, oh, so we've had this massive fight between the two of us, and now all of a sudden we're on separate continents.
Yeah, I mean, I do get that as well. They could have been a little bit of an intro into it. I think Blizzard has a really bad problem with just transitioning. So one of the biggest examples of this is when you make an allied race. So, and I've said this to yourself and Dunkirk before. When I made a Zandalari troll, you basically make them, you speak to Talanji, who's queen at the time, and then she's like, it's like, you are one of our greatest warriors, and now we are part of the Horde. Go and join them, and then you suddenly just appear in Orgrimmar, and you're like, what? Like, there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing to but that changes. So, like, they're already working on. So in Shadowlands, you can just go, cool, thanks, Delangi. I'm not going to Orgrimmar, though. I'm going to jump off the temple. I'm going to go a level here in Zandalar because I'm a Zandalar troll. Scaling in Shadowlands. That's how it should have been, in a way. So you either should have started at 110 as that Zandalari troll, or there should have been something much bigger to kind of get you into the whole thing.
I would agree with that, and I'd like to know, and especially from Congolator, who asked, and by the way, hey Congolator, how's it going? I hope you had a good BlizzCon. Hopefully see you at the next one. I think that the one thing that you mentioned is that they abandoned the main themes from the beginning of BFA. And this is a question that I'm going to ask the chat, as well as yourself, Farseer. I want to know, do you think that was in response to people not enjoying the idea behind, or people necessarily not enjoying the quote-unquote misstep that Blizzard took, where they separated the Horde and the Alliance immediately and kind of went, okay, well, we'll go down this route? Or do you feel it was planned out since the start? And I think Rav has kind of jumped into it. It was planned out since the start. I would agree with Rav. I would say it's planned out since the start, because Blizzard plans so far ahead, right? Like, Shadowlands is still new to us and still coming out. They're already halfway through the next expansion after Shadowlands, talking about it right now, which baffles me and makes me want to know so bad. But because I want to know where we're going. But they had this planned out. They had this all set in stone before we were even there. See, Rav saying no, Rinian saying he doesn't think it was always the plan. However, there is one thing, and I'm normally of the camp of Blizzard plan this ahead. There's no way they couldn't. There's one thing that kind of makes me think maybe there were changes.
Okay.
And that was from Marlamin, who obviously does a lot of the data mining for MMO Champ. Discovered a version of the Najatar map.
Mm-hmm.
And this Najatar map was the exact same as what we have now. The only exception is that added onto it was this gigantic landmass that was Azeroth. That apparently the idea was that this would be something we would go on to, and we would basically, that would almost be part of the expansion for us. It's going on and doing stuff on this gigantic old god body. And it was, Rinian says he think it was always planned. Okay. But yeah, there's something about that makes me think maybe they did take it in a slightly direction. Maybe they did change things around. And I think now we've seen the story of Sylvanas, and we've kind of seen. I think it definitely, somewhere along the lines, I feel like something changed.
I know what it is. I think I know what it is. Like, this is obviously speculation. Morally grey, yeah. I think I know what it is. I'm going to do a Bellior. This is definitely what it is, right?
Oh, no.
No, but I think what it is that they do have a plan, and they do plan it out ahead, and they construct it, but then when they actually get to within their months, they find out due to time constraints it might not be able to get done. And so they're halfway through making, the Azeroth landscape. They're like, we won't have time for this. We got to focus on other things. So I think it is planned, yes. I think maybe sometimes they have to just leave things. So they'll have priority things that they are going to do. And if they don't do it, it will screw things royally. And then they'll have, like, secondary things like, we really do want to do this, but if not, then I guess, we've got an alternate thing to do. I think the Azeroth thing was on the second one. I did because, like, I haven't noticed a big ripple of, there should be something here sort of, deal. So I think that was kind of like on the second row. I think they do that with everything. Like, I think they did that with the raid in Cataclysm that was supposed to be underwater as well with Neptulon.
Yes.
I believe that would have been a priority one, though, because you did notice something wrong with that. We all did.
Yeah,
there was a big lead up to it. There was everything in the story, and then nothing.
Here's the story. Here's the lead up. Here's that.
Yeah, and it just stopped. And then people found out in the files, 80% of the raid environmentally was made. Yes. And it just, so I think that was, yes, it was planned. Unfortunately, something really bad happened with time management or constraints, and it just got dropped. So
it got dropped hard.
yeah.
Conglator mentioning, I definitely feel they changed timelines for content release and whatnot because of the Azeroth gear system, but the thematic story itself was fleshed out since day one. Okay, yeah, that's that. I would probably agree with that in general things. It seems as though there may have been a misstep potentially with the story for BFA in regards to obviously separating the Horde and the Alliance. The idea was a good one, but the fact that we have suddenly, the Alliance, for example, heading into Aldea going, I have no idea
why we're
what
here,
is happening.
Exactly. Even so I don't play the Alliance, so I don't know this, but I assume this isn't even this because they said they had no clue or no warning about this whatsoever. Even a small quest with Bran would have done well on that. Like
all it needed.
That's how he got us into Ulduar, so why not Bran again for Uldir and Old God stuff? It would have been perfect. Like he turns up, like later on when you have to investigate stuff, there you go with Magni and Bran to investigate for going and retrieving Mother and what have you.
Exactly.
So him being there would have been perfect for to bring the Alliance across. Champions, there's trouble. It's like, oh god, you're like your brother.
So we've nailed BFA. I think BFA, we can all agree, has been at best a mixed bag of cats. At worst, a complete, the worst expansion that Blizzard have ever made.
It's really okay. So I agree with that in a way.
Okay.
I haven't played WoD, so I can't give a fair judgment to say WoD is. From what I saw, I believe WoD is. However, you're probably right, but when you say it's the worst expansion ever, you sort of expect it to go, there was some big train crash with it, right? There was a scar ripping through the entire expansion that's really noticeable, and it was terrible by Blizzard standards. And in a way, there was. The Heart of Azeroth as a system was bad, but it wasn't the entire expansion, but it kind of did have a ripple effect. So it's really weird. I don't know what I'm actually saying. It's like, yes, I agree with the worst expansion ever, but I also sort of think that maybe a different title would be better. I don't know.
Ridian brings up a good point, and we'll move on from this in just a moment. But Ridian brings up a very good point, was if it wasn't following Legion, it would have been a decent expansion. I don't think so.
No.
I honestly feel as though it doesn't matter what it followed. I mean, obviously, if it followed, it's difficult to say no matter what it followed, because if it followed like Classic or Burning Crusade, there would be completely different systems in place. So it's very, very difficult to judge that. But if you were to compare, if this followed Mists or WoD, or so, it would still feel terrible. Simply because of the systems they had in place. Pride is saying that Warlords was worse, but just barely. I would say that BFA, it's the other way around for me. BFA is the worst, but just by a smidge, simply because of the Heart of Azeroth system, and because of my personal preference of the storyline style of the alternate dimension.
Do you think
which we hopefully, fingers crossed, we get to explore the Maghar scenario situation, which I'd love.
Do you think he's logged on from work?
Quite possibly. He's logged on in the mayor's office.
He's in the mayor. It's like, hey, mayor, I need to log on and watch some Twitch for a bit. My boys are on. It's like...
Salty saying, personally, WoD felt worse because it felt more like a tick boxes sort of expansion. I completely agree with that. It did feel like it was ticking.
He is 100% logged on for work. He knew it! Yes, bloody knew it. And he got permission from the mayor.
Here is, and again, this is going to be a very, very, very quick topic, but something that we have to obviously discuss when we look back at 2019. And that was obviously the situation with Blitzchung.
Yes, that's going to be a mark that won't be removed for a while.
No. The one thing I'd like to point out from the start is that, again, anything we say here is our own personal opinions.
Yep, and doesn't reflect Warcraft Radio as a whole.
No. From the start, I said that Blizzard were in a very, very tough position. There was no way that they could come out of that looking good. They did the best they could, and they failed in some ways. And again, no matter what they did, it wasn't going to work out well. However, it's interesting to note that we are now, about 3 months removed
Something like that. It feels longer. It feels longer.
It does feel longer, or it might even, and
but I think you might be right.
I think it is something that they're going to be reminded of for a long time, and quite rightly so.
Yeah.
However, I'd like to think that A, they have learned their lesson.
Yeah.
And B, a lot of the people that were originally very angry and very annoyed and had all rights to be, I feel as though time has kind of softened them almost. And they've realized that, yes, it was a very reactionary sort of response that they had. But when you take a step back and think about it, there wasn't a whole lot that could have been done realistically. They were in a very, very tough position. And
the problem is that people looked at Blizzard during that situation and looked at the whole things happening in Hong Kong as the same thing. And it wasn't. People need to see past that. They refuse to see any distinction between them. Blizzard did this. Oh, they're against Hong Kong people. They're sort of supporting the government. No. So it's completely separate. You know why it's completely separate? Because Blizzard, as a business, needs to protect themselves. They have their own rules. They have their own regulations. Forget Hong Kong and China, right? As people don't want to, but you got to. They have to protect their own business. They have to protect everything. And so thusly they have these rules in place. When it comes from someone saying, so whether it comes from another part of the world saying something political or whatever about stances there, they would do the same to that person in that country, in this country, in that any country in the world, right? Because there was political unrest in the current country where Blitzchung was, that doesn't then go, oh, he's an exception. You can't do that because the moment you make that exception, everyone is then an exception. You can't have one rule for another and then another for everybody else, because then you become imbalanced and unfair. And then that would have been another problem. But the problem is that people refuse to see that and goes, oh no, because they said that, he said so, and they're supporting China. And then they started linking it to their assets in China and the sales and whatever. And you know what? Maybe there is some truth to that. Maybe there is. However, first and foremost, they were protecting themselves, and they've got to seem balanced. And again, people just utterly refused to see that. You have to be reasonable, and you have to look at all sides. Like, by all means, you can agree with what Blizzard did and also support the people of Hong Kong. You can do that.
Impossible. Can't do that.
No. Some people have sort of thought that, no, you can't do that. But you can, because one is a business protecting themselves, and one is people fighting for, democracy, I believe it is, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not too involved in it. But, again, you can support Blizzard and support the Hong Kong. It's that simple.
Yeah.
But I think now it has calmed down a bit on the Blizzard front. Some people obviously will not forget, and by all means, don't. That's fine. Yeah. People shouldn't forget, because it is, as you say, a lesson that Blizzard learns, that everyone learned, I think. And so we just got to take that going forward.
Very, very much so. And speaking of learning and stuff that we learned, we also had BlizzCon this year.
We did.
And we learned a lot.
We did.
BlizzCon. We learned that the Mythic stage had their Diablo 4 feed cut. And I legitimately thought there was going to be a riot at one point. Which, if you look at our reaction video on YouTube, you can actually hear the crowd losing their shit. I could feel, when it came to
looking back on the footage when I was doing the editing for the video, I could feel the crowd getting louder and louder and louder. And I was
really were. It got to the point.
I've never seen you with an actual worried look in your eye, but you were like, oh.
Yeah, this is gonna kick off. Yeah, that was quite comical. We learnt about Diablo 4, which I think everyone can, agree on. It looked fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
And as someone that played it at BlizzCon,
yeah, lucky you. The queues were around the building and around half of Anaheim, from what I hear.
Yes, they really were. It was amazing when you saw the overqueue being full from the actual queue. It was ridiculous. It was, Diablo 4 is shaping up. It felt really good. It felt smooth. It felt visceral. We obviously had Overwatch 2, which
Electric
I know
Boogaloo.
Overwatch 2, Lucio Boogaloo, which I know one thing you have been crying out for.
Story mode. Yes. So
a co-op story mode, and again, that was great fun to play. Really, really was a lot of fun to play. The new characters are going to be interesting. The various different missions and stuff you have available to you in Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be quite compelling when it comes down to it. We obviously had the announcement of the Dragon expansion for Hearthstone.
Dragon's
as well
Descent.
As Battlegrounds.
Yep. That is out now.
That is out now, and we have been fighting our way through the Battlegrounds in Hearthstone. I think safe to say it's been a success since the announcement.
Yeah, it's been going well.
I'd probably agree with that. And obviously, Shadowlands, as we have spoken about, it seems as though they have managed to find something where they can obviously advance on the Battle for Azeroth story, but at the same time, it almost feels like they're really aiming for some redemption here. Blizzard really feels as if they are, trying to get everyone else invested back into the story of World of Warcraft, and I cannot wait to see what comes out of that. I know for a fact that you're excited.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, Torghast is something that you are looking forward to immensely.
Torghast is my one. If they do Torghast right, I'm happy. That's all I gotta say.
There we go. Yeah,
pretty much.
Exactly. There's a lot of very, very interesting things to come out of Shadowlands. Grossprot saying, did anyone other than streamers play the Shadowlands demo? Obviously, the streamers you're referencing, myself, Athelos, we played it for about 3 hours. We took a look at every single class, all of their abilities.
But did anyone else play?
So I believe, I can't remember if Pride had some time on the Shadowlands demo.
He's a streamer.
Anyone
else, Kexman? The public.
I don't think there was anyone else. Dunkirk did. He's also technically a streamer, but most of us are streamers. It's
not what he's asking. Non-streamers!
Ketra, I know Ketra played it.
Oh my god.
Ketra enjoyed it. Ketra's not a streamer. Or is he asking in regards
into anyone other than the Warcraft Radio crew? Did you see PCs lined up and people playing?
Did I see any? Yeah, they had a giant demo area set up. We covered it during the stream.
Thank you. That's all he was asking. It's like anyone other than streamers. You're like, well, I did,
sorry,
and Athens did, and Pride
so
did.
Obvious.
He went
so
through
obvious
every
to me. Yes, of course, everyone other than streamers played Shadowlands. What?
You. Oh my gosh. You're like a politician. It's like you just dance around the direct questions. Like,
it was a strong and stable demo. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yes, but what aspects did you like? It was a strong and stable demo. Was anything you didn't like? It was a strong
demo was strong and stable.
How do you think Shadowlands?
It's one of those questions. It's a little bit like I was stood at. This is a completely different. And here's something that I as a general rule, and it's nothing against you, Grossprot. This is in life generally. I really do not. I don't abide fools gladly. And if somebody asks me a stupid question, really annoys me. Case in point, our store opens at 9 a.m.
Oh god, here we go.
I am stood outside my store at 20 to 9 by myself. All of the shutters are down. The front door shutter is down. All of the lock bolts are in. There are no lights on in the store. And again, I'm by myself drinking a coffee. A man walks up to me and goes, "You open, mate?" And I just looked at the shutter behind me and looked at him and went, "No, mate." I was just like, I felt like turning around and going, why are you the way you are? Why? You could blatantly see the whole thing is shut down.
It's like it's almost the equivalent of someone going up to a security guard of like like an office building at 1 o'clock in the morning on his night shift, going, "It's open, mate."
Yeah,
and the security guard like,
I have worked in restaurants where we have been setting the restaurant up. We have had everybody in the restaurant in plain clothes. We have had no chairs in the restaurant. We have had any of the booths have had their seats removed because we're placing stuff in. I have seen somebody open the front door, walk over 5 or 6 different boxes of stuff to ask if we had a table available. Yes, we have a table available in about 5 days.
Sounds open
now,
to Salty
piss
Murloc.
off.
No, Murloc, Salty Murloc says sounds open to them.
Oh my god, I really do not abide questions.
Oh boy.
And someone's asking why am I friends with Farseer then? The reason why I'm friends with Farseer is every now and then you have to be reminded that if you don't keep, sort of like working your brain and everything, that's what happens to you.
What, you live quite a happy and relaxed life?
I really don't. It's the exact opposite.
Well, I do, so I mean, I'll keep this constant reminder.
Anyway, getting back on track for 2019.
Yeah.
There was one other thing. There was one other thing that happened in 2019. We've covered BlizzCon.
Yeah.
Covered Hong Kong situation.
Yeah, the release. Yeah.
BFA. I don't think there was anything else that happened in 2019 that was quite big.
What, with Blizzard or World of Warcraft?
I can't think of anything at all, really. No, nothing's coming to mind. There wasn't like a return of anything. There was nothing that came back. I can't. Anything that's on your mind?
Dottie
Came back, of course.
Wait, no, Dottie never was here in the first place. She couldn't have come back.
Yes. Obviously the world first race, method completely dominant across the board, with the exception of Crucible of Storms, but that was because nobody expected that to be as difficult as it was. Obviously, Heroes of the Sport, C-Sport disbanding, very, very, very sad time. I got choked by Duncan.
Duncan's breaking out of his stasis block.
He's breaking. Next week he might actually be here.
Yeah.
I think it was I think that was a very sad moment. Obviously, the Heroes eSport disbanding. I was a huge fan of the HGC, and I loved some of the stuff that the casters were doing. So, that upset me a little bit. But no, obviously the one thing I'm referring to is the return of Warcraft Radio after 10 years of us being off the air. Obviously, we are now, it's been a fantastic year for content for both, Twitch, YouTube, as much as YouTube to change everything. Blizzard, realistically, people keep saying they're having a terrible year. They've had a good year with some good releases, with some good expansions, and some good announcements.
BlizzCon was great.
BlizzCon was great. They've done a lot for charity. But no, Warcraft Radio returning. Realistically, we've been doing this for quite a while. I say quite a while, for a couple of months now.
Yeah.
Would you say that the return of Warcraft Radio has been your highlight of 2019, Fast?
It's been one of the things I didn't expect to happen. We didn't expect this to happen this year, did we? Like, we were not even. Big thanks to Athelis, who's basically been the core of the gravity to bring everyone back together and to do this. Obviously, we are -1 Turtle John Bane Biscuit. Always remembering him.
Why did you say it like that?
I don't know. No one's ever said it that way.
Like
no one's ever
John
said
Bane
it that way.
Biscuit. That is the worst way to say that name.
But yes, we are -1 him. But like, he's never forgotten. Myself and Kexman did work with him way back when WoW Radio was a thing about 10 years ago. And yeah, no, everyone should always follow the great example that he set of just, if these sort of bad things do happen to you and your family, which it does to many people, give it the middle finger and you fight that and defy the odds. I think that's what he,
exactly.
It's very inspiring, to be honest. But yeah, so we're gonna continue this. I'm pretty sure he would give a smile or probably an eye roll and say, "Oh God, they're doing that again," which makes me smile personally. But yeah, it's good to be back. We got new friends we've got new people coming on. Like we said, we've got Realm Maintenance and Row and Technically PvP and Hearth Cash. We've got all those people joining us. And 2020 is going to be great. We're just going to keep moving forward. We're going to keep doing more. We're still going to see what we could do for putting a cooking show together.
Whoa!
Oh, wait, holy crap.
Look at that.
TS Gamer, what a legend.
Coming in with the subs.
Woo!
Wait, hang on.
Oh, for John.
You and Rav weren't already subbed?
Oh, dude. That's...
You and Rav weren't already subbed? I mean, thank you, TS Gamer, for the 5 subs, but I think the... is you and Rav weren't subbed.
It was... No, I haven't been, because I've got, like, so many people I sub to, dude. Like, I ain't got that much money, but no, TS Gamer, that is a legend. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, TS Gamer. That was a fantastic little sub there. A shout out to you. And on a personal level as well, I started this year in admittedly in a bit of a rough place. I was in a job that I legitimately hated. I was very much in quite a rough place. I didn't enjoy. Oh, really,
man, we're following it up. Thank you very much. You guys are legends. Thank you so much.
You really are. And for the fact that I didn't really see myself getting out of it. I was very much almost a lot of hatred for kind of how I'd put myself into the situation. And obviously this has come across. I've been able to live one of my dreams in going to BlizzCon,
and you did a great job. You did a great job, BlizzCon.
Yeah, not only doing a fantastic job, kind of getting there and actually managing to bring content to you guys, and the fact that now I'm in a different job. I've got a lot of stuff that I've got planned for 2020 for Warcraft Radio, for Farseer, for everyone else. And legitimately, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you to every single person that has worked on bringing Warcraft Radio back, whether it was from doing, Athelas Pride, Vibal Dunkirk, everyone that has worked on this, in bringing it to the forefront. Thank you to people like Ketra, who have been able to really pull the strings so that everyone is kind of on the same page, and being able to make BlizzCon work the way it did, because everyone knew what was going on. And last but not least, everyone in the chat, every single person that has come into the chat that has supported us, that has viewed our content, that has given us ideas, that is enjoying what we do. We wouldn't be doing this without you. And yes, this isn't the biggest thing. This isn't, we're not suddenly going to be hosting our own convention, but the fact that you guys want to join us, and the fact that you guys want to spend your evenings with us,
and the fact you guys never want to adventure alone.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And also, never excluding them, thank you to all our podcast listeners as well. You do it the old school way, like, this is what we used to do way back when in the day, sending out all the podcasts and doing the Shoutcast live as well on audio. So we've just taken it a step further. We've just gone visual, but we're still doing it for you podcast listeners as well. So if you're like out and about, if you're traveling, or if you're at home, wherever you are, wherever you listen to, thank you for tuning into the show. If you know friends and whatever that used to listen to our radio or play World of Warcraft still, let them know. Let them know about us, that we're here, we're back, we're doing some good things, and we like you along for the ride. All of you.
Yeah, we would... Ninjas cutting onions. Well, yeah, Farseer cutting onions. We wouldn't be... Well, we would be crying, but it would mostly be crying in anger at exactly how he was doing it.
Hey, at least I cut bread.
As people are describing in the chat, obviously, if you do have one of our new subs, if you link up your Discord account with your Twitch account, you will have access to a special channel in our Discord where you learn some new various different things. You find things out before everyone else does, and we might also ask you what your opinion is on something and whether or not we should continue to do it. If you don't sub and you are enjoying the content, then please make sure you follow us so you know when we're going live. Myself, Farseer, there's quite a few. there's quite a few of us. I suddenly disappeared then.
You did
I
for a
got
second, sorry.
snapped by Thanos. Yeah, there's quite a few of us that are obviously streaming throughout the weeks. So you'll get notifications when that is happening, and any support you guys can give us always helps us. It helps us do stuff like BlizzCon. 2020 is going to be even bigger.
Yes, it is.
It's and it's only going to get bigger from here. So again, thank you to everybody that has supported us. And with that in mind, it is time for us to end this festive. I say festive. There wasn't a whole lot of festive about
We
it.
talked a lot about Wintervale. Yeah, we got there.
Yeah, I suppose. And a look back at 2019. But yeah, I think it's safe to say thank you from myself. Thank you from Farseer for joining us. These past couple of months, it's been a hell of a ride. And it's only going to get bigger from here.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, my final thought is 2019, hell of a year. 2020 is going to be even bigger.
It is indeed. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining for this episode. We're going to leave on that humble note. And I won't see you next week, I don't believe, because I believe I am working unless plans change. So, fingers crossed, Dunkirk will be here with Kexman for some more You Think You Do But You Don't goodness.
Even if, I'll tell you what, okay, here we go. Did I cut out again? I cut out again, didn't I?
Here we go.
Ironic. Yeah. So.
Should we just end there? Do you think that's...
No. What I'm going to say is, I know Pride potentially wants to do a show. The last time we did a show together, it didn't end well. It did end well. Yeah. What I was going to say is, for those of you that are available next week, for those of you that potentially do have an EU account or a US account, if Dunkirk isn't available, if Farseer is, I think we should do our very, very first You Think You Do But You Don't community nights. So if you guys want to join me on Heroes of the Storm or in Warcraft or hell, even in Overwatch,
or join you in hell.
Yeah, join me in hell. There we go. Then make sure you're online. Make sure we can get a couple of games together. We'll get on the Discord. And,
Your mic is really working against you for this last bit. I can't even.
Is it?
It really.
You get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying.
Oh boy.
Playing Overwatch with me is not hell. Playing Overwatch with you guys is hell.
And on that note, guys, thank you for tuning in. Enjoy next week, and we'll see you we'll see you around, and we'll see you in the new year. Thank you very much, guys.
Love you guys.